Ready when you are.
Okay. I don't have a gavel, but I have a pencil. So I'm calling the May 22nd, 2025 Planning Board public hearing to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Chair LaFaro,
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty,
Present.
the Secretary is here, Board Member Glazer,
Present.
Board Members Mutu, Neely, and Fulham are absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just some safety procedures in case of an emergency. There are two doors that leave this room, go down the stairs and out the front door. Okay, with that, we will have the first application, Pietra Dura, and we have notice, council?
We do, Madam Chair.
Good.
And we'll read this into the record.
Please take notice in accordance with Local Law 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held at the Southampton Planning Board on Thursday, May 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the site plan application titled Pietra Dura LLC. The application proposes to legalize 2 bocce ball courts on a 2.11 acre property currently improved for the restaurant and associated parking, situated in the Highway Business Zoning District, situated 322 West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays, tax map 900-253-1-11.
Yes, please, give us your name for the record.
Kevin Springer, Dynamic Legal, 48 Columbine Avenue North, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay, give us a little overview of the project and
Okay, so Mr. Tortorella, who is with us, is the property owner, but the restaurant is owned by a different management company. Approximately, I would say 6 or 7 years ago, there was a previous owner who had bought the restaurant, renovated it, turned it into a nice place, but with the new business, wanted to try and drum up a little bit more business. And what he did was we put in the 2 bocce courts, not knowing that, obviously at the time, that there was anything needed for that. Since then, after that, we started he was using it for, we did have a league on Wednesday nights. Again, all just to, bring people into the restaurant. They would come in before matches or after matches, whatever they preferred. Then we, again, formed a league, which has been pretty successful. It was a little hectic at first, I will say that. Parking was an issue. It was a little bit of a bedlam in the beginning because there was a lot of people. There was a lot of local people, actually some coming from Patchogue, all over, but that was basically the gist of it. And since then, it has been taken over by a new management company again, and we've made a few changes, basically because of complaints from the neighbors. Again, one was the parking. To the east of us is a medical center with 3 buildings, so some people were parking in there. And then there was a DJ at the time, but that became a little much. So what we've done over this past year to, put everybody at ease is we've taken the league, we have basically there's 30 teams in this league, and it was playing 5 matches a night on 2 different courts. So it was turning into a late night. So what we did was we took it down to 2 nights instead of 1 night so that we would end much, much earlier. We backed off on the music. On the west side of the property, we put up a 6-foot fence because there's a few houses on that side to eliminate noise and anybody just, going off on somebody else's property. And then on the other side to the east with the medical center, we put up a 4-foot fence. Since then, I have spoken to several neighbors, and I know that one is here, but Miss Gallo, who I'm assuming is gonna speak, she is very close to it. She is the one that got the 6-foot fence, and it goes actually all the way to the end of the property and across the back. So her main concern, and she will tell you herself, was that it was too late. You know, I spoke to her, and she was, you know, we get up early, and I said, I totally understand. I said, you know, the DJ stuff is down to nothing now. With the two courts and the 2 nights now, we only, you know, we're done basically at 8:15, 8:30. So they had expressed that was their main concern, was that, you know, they get up at 4:30, they have to go east for work purposes. So we try to appease that also. The other owner to the next to them, I spoke to very briefly, a little bit of a translation issue, but they really didn't have any issues. And then the property with the medical to the right, once we put up the fence, and I did speak to him again to tell him about the hearing and whatnot, and he was fine because there's no more parking there. Which also, going to the 2 nights and bringing everything down, there's no more parking on the streets, there's no more parking in the medical center. So now everybody, you know, it can park in the rear parking lot. Other than that,
So you can accommodate your parking, and you won't have any outdoor music?
no, we have a small, we went down to a very small speaker just to have a little background noise, but really not, I wouldn't call it music.
Well, okay, but usually we have a requirement at site plans that there is no outdoor audio, sound, et cetera, so you might need to consider that. Let
Okay.
me just get some of the other people up here. Lisa Gallo? Yes, please, come up.
Thanks for taking the time to hear me.
Yes.
First, I'd like to say I'm Liz Gallo, 14 North Jones Road, Hampton Bays, New York. I'm here with my husband. We've lived in our home for 15 years. Far be it from being a fun sucker. I'm all for a party. But some of my concerns are when you're standing on my front porch, yes, there is a fence, but when you're talking 30 teams of people you're probably talking about at least 100 people, they look right over this fence. I literally have to shut my curtains, shut my windows, shut my front door so that these people are not looking into my living room, my yard. It's almost like an invasion of privacy of having a party of complete strangers. Every season, we have garbage thrown over the fence. We pick up bottles, containers. I've even had diapers thrown over the fence onto my yard. We have animals. Dogs have gotten sick because of the garbage that they've eaten that has been thrown over that we were not aware of. I'm glad that the DJ was addressed. However, last night alone, and I have video, music goes till at least 9:30 at night. And I'm all for, like I said, a party. However, my husband gets up at 4:30 in the morning. He works for Suffolk Cement. He has to be in Wainscott by 5:30. So we're getting up very early. It's not so much the volume, it's the bass decimal that literally vibrates all of the walls in my house. And I'm grateful that this takes place over the summertime because our windows are shut, the air conditioner is on, and the TV is on, and I'm still hearing this bass. And when we're going to sleep at 9:30 at night, you can't even think or have the wherewithal to go to sleep when you're listening to this. So if it could end earlier, if it could be 8:15, I'd be the happiest person on earth. I have a daughter who's in high school as well. She's getting up very early in the morning during the week to add to that. Now there's a porta potty that's on the other side of my fence that I can visibly see when I'm standing on my front porch, the top half. So if there could be some screening or privacy put in, I would appreciate that. I've shared with Mr. Springer, we literally just planted 54 arborvitae trees They do tell me that they grow 1 to 3 feet a year. I hope that these are above and beyond that expectation, because the ones that we did plant are about 5 feet right now. So when they do grow, yes, they will be taller. But you still have the noise, you still have the people, and if we could avoid that, that would be great. I'm not saying that I'm totally against the bocce ball courts, but if it could be considered, why do we need to? And if we do need to, and it is approved, which would be great because I live out here in the wintertime and the summertime too, and entertainment is far and few between for all of us and our families. Is it possible to move them further back? Like move it further back towards the railroad tracks? They've cleared all of that land out. When I moved in, that part of the parking lot was filled with trees, so dense that you couldn't even see the other public buildings or commercial buildings that Mr. Springer talked about. That has since all been cleared out. Could these bocce ball courts be moved further back? There's no housing back there. People would not be looking over my fence then. And that's just a consideration. So I'm just asking that maybe some of these things could be explored.
Great, thank you very much.
And I'm wondering if you can somehow secure a higher fence. You'd need a variance. But if you could go with an 8-foot fence, that's not going to address the noise. But that'll
No.
block a lot of the visual impact. You can't approve it. You'd have to get the applicant would have to secure a variance, but it'd be a strong case you make for the ZBA.
Right. And in addition to the higher fence, like there's 8 to 10 parking spots that are right on the other side of that fence. Those cars park 15 feet within my property. So when you have people that are sitting in their cars, enjoying themselves, party's over, but yet they're blasting their music and finishing up the party of what they started, yeah, maybe a taller fence is a way to go.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
we'll look at all the aspects of this when we get it in front of us.
I guess maybe this might be a question, I don't know, for planning or legal. This league sounds to me like it's a separate business because they're bringing people into the restaurant.
Well, we're certainly treating it as a second use on the property.
Okay.
Part of why we're here is because there was no ability to do an accessory to, and so we are treating it as a second use. Yep.
So, sorry, my allergies are kicking in. Does parking have to be looked at?
Yeah, well, in light of the information we're getting here tonight, the applicant's going to submit to us a detail of exactly how the
How it's
league
functioning.
operates and how it's functioning, so I could get a grasp on what kind of parking we got to, there's a lot of parking here, but we heard that there's, a lot of participants.
And what
Certainly more
about
than I
what
expected.
about the music?
Yeah, I mean, we always say no outdoor speakers, no outdoor
Outdoor
music, and that would be made a
speaker
condition
system.
of any approval, so that's going to have to go.
Okay.
Can I just say a few things real quick?
Am I dismissed?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. We have it.
I'll start with the parking. The parking has, it's the original parking. It hasn't changed whatsoever. It's always been there since the day they built the
What's the
restaurant.
capacity of the lot?
That I would have to get you. I was there last night, and literally the speaker was this high, so I'm gonna have to disagree with her on that one. That was not loud, and if there was 25, 30 people there, would have been a lot. And that's the idea of doing it for the 2 nights. Yes, it's accessory, but if you go a half mile down the road, you have Slow Jack's restaurant that has miniature golf in the backyard. I mean, that's no different than what we're doing. The court's going back further. Well, they're in already, obviously, and they are the surrounding border of a bocce court is cement. So, also, I would have to note that we would have to check with the building department if that setback would be allowable. That's why it's closer to the, it's easier for the customers to go in and out, back and forth to the restaurant.
What's the setback from the tracks, Anthony? 50 feet?
Also,
Highway business, so I have to check.
Okay. I didn't
Also,
need
I spoke to Mr. Tortorella, obviously, and we are willing to put, even though we put that fence up with the 6 foot, the chances of getting an 8-foot fence, unless it's an agricultural for deer fencing, not as easy as you think through the zoning board. But we are willing to also put screening on our side so that you have their trees, the fence, and then more on our side.
And there's sound attenuating material you could tack up on the fence.
Say that again?
There is sound attenuating
It's
material.
all PVC fencing, white PVC solid fencing.
No, there's
Special stuff.
sheets of
Oh, I see what you're
acoustic
saying, okay.
soundproofing material that you can attach
Yeah,
to a
listen,
fence.
we're willing to, I understand getting up early. I'm up early too, but I understand what they're saying, and we're not turning a deaf eye to that by
Yeah,
any
well,
chance.
it's a residence and they're being impacted, yeah.
Yeah, well, one side is residents, and that's actually where we end up. Their side turns into residential, and from us over is highway business. So it's a little tricky that we have, houses on the one side.
Okay, let's hear from Roy or Lisa Fledger.
Good evening, thanks for having me. Roy Flagger, 61 Temple Avenue, Flanders, New York. I'm not sure which house was yours, Ms. Gallo.
When you're in the parking lot,
Right here.
look right
That one,
over
okay.
the yellow house,
Yep.
that's our house.
I totally get it. I'm up at 4 a.m. myself. I participate in the league. I've been participating for 5 years, so I'm just coming from that point of view. It's not like there's a bunch of kids hanging out blasting music, so I don't want to give that impression. I also have to disagree with Mrs. Gallo that it wasn't loud last night. To have walls vibrating, I'll have to disagree with that. There was a little speaker, some music, background music, and that was about it. Now that they split it up to 2 nights, the parking is a lot better. It's the flow is a lot better, so I agree with that. So I think that was a big plus. And as far as I know, Mr. Tortorella, that if there's anything that he can do to help improve the situation, I'm sure he's willing to do that.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So, when this comes before the planning board, this is just a pre-hearing, Anthony, correct?
This is
Hearing.
a public hearing, yes.
Site plan.
Yes.
We'll discuss all of it with you. I mean, the second use, abutting a residential area, noise, parking, all of those issues. We'll discuss in great detail, but I think you've heard from the public.
On Zoom? Zoom?
So,
Anyone on Zoom?
anyone else want to speak, or is there anyone on Zoom, Kevin?
No one on Zoom.
Okay. Did you want to speak? Yes, please.
How you doing? I'm Herberto Malave, Liz's husband at 14 North Jones Road.
Okay.
My issue with that is the music last night, the bass was from parked cars.
Oh,
So
parked cars. Yeah.
that's the issue. The bass was from parked cars. You can hear music from when they're playing, yes. Is it lower this year? Yeah, it is lower this year. But the problem is that cars that park there, they take the fun going forward, which I don't blame them. They had a good time and it's great. But some of the cars have more bass to their volumes, and you feel it in our house.
Yep.
So whether someone disagrees or not, it's no bearing because they're not living in my house.
Exactly.
So I do feel that the direction of what they're doing is fun, and I'm all for growth, and that gives opportunity for building, for people to work, and I'm for that. Just have a little consideration towards us. I got animals. I've had to stop them from eating food that was thrown over. I went over there previously multiple times to talk to people in that building about them throwing food over on our property. I've had to pick up bottles. So, yeah, there's no teenagers there. Then why are adults doing it?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I haven't seen that.
Sir,
So that is my issue with it.
hear
So
you.
if those things can be addressed, hey, do it. By all means.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Is there anyone on Zoom?
I think John
No one.
wants to speak.
Mr. Tortorella, you want to speak?
Good evening, everyone. John Tortorella, 54 Dundee Lane, Southampton. When I bought this restaurant, it used to be Tuscan House, I believe, Villa Toscana or something. And it was in pretty dilapidated shape. We went through planning board approval. We got more parking than we needed for the size of the restaurant. We followed everything we did follow. We got COs for all of that. Let me address something about this bocce. It's something that brought the community together, and it became very popular. The average age is 55, not higher. We have older people, like the oldest person we have is Mr. Scotto, Anthony Scotto is 94 and he plays on the team. There's a lot of responsible adults there. As far as throwing food and everything else, I've been there, I would say 95% of the time since inception, about 7, 8 years ago. Okay, I never seen anybody. There's staff there, okay? There's staff there. If some food went in the garbage, something blew, maybe they didn't empty the garbage that night. Could it possibly be the raccoons bring it over? Sure. But as far as people throwing food, we're adults. We don't do that. Okay, so we changed everything around, all right, to go 2 nights a week. There was plenty of parking last night, okay, and it worked out well. The music, there was some DJ to the prior operator that I was renting it to, that I had a DJ that I probably agree with them. It was a little bit bassy, and we did turn them down. We did tell them quite a few times, and some of these gentlemen can tell you. We didn't want to bring a whole room full of people because when they heard about this last night, there was a lot of concerns and anger. Why this is happening, okay, because it's a place that brings people together. And as far as moving them back, that's not an option. There's about a half acre of land back there, still fully treed, okay? Now to move those courts, it's $40,000 each. I'm not doing this for me. The restaurant is going to be doing it so they can generate, so they can survive. The issue is that the season is short for them. Winter is long, and whatever money they have to save in the summer, it gets eaten up in the winter. They just need some additional revenues. Okay, so there's been other places like this. Even the driving range right here, you got the condos right next door. I was there the other day playing miniature golf with my granddaughter, and they had music going on, and it was a lot louder than we had last night. And as far as we put up that fence, I believe, 4 or 5 years ago, because I think your fence was falling down. So we did it at our cost to help them out. Now, as far as, putting mitigation 8 foot, well, you got to be careful. You have to construct that in such a way that does not become a sail, a wind sail. It's going to get knocked down, okay? And not only that, for the noise proof, well, my backyard is on Montauk Highway. I did that, and it's, to be honest with you, I have fence, I have a double fence, I had that fabric. It doesn't help much, but they're concerned more about the base. We already achieved that because I think that they agreed that last night, okay, and that's how it's going to be. It's fine. Now, we have no control if somebody leaves and goes into the car, turns it on, and they have the blasting music and there's some bass. How can we control that? We have to escort everyone to their car and make sure that the radio is down. But there hasn't been. None of us have seen that. Some of the complaints I'm hearing tonight, I'm like, I feel like I was in a different spot. Okay, so as far as trees, put up more trees, well, we got a 6-foot fence. Now, there is some pretty big trees there, oaks and some other stuff. All right, in order to put up like a line, let's say, of arborvitae, I have to take all those trees down. Okay, remove all the roots, put up these trees, and is it going to help? Well, we already found out that it wasn't so bad last night. We already made the changes. Okay, so it's a community thing, and I think that what we're doing and the changes that we're making are very successful right now. We want to keep it that way. Okay, but again, I'm there every single Wednesday, either for support. And as far as 2 years ago, last year, then we had one Wednesday night there was not 100 people would be there because there were buys. 2 courts can only handle, okay, so many games a night, and there's 4 people to each team. So what happens with that is that you have buys, so you don't have that many people. But we decided that it was better make it 2 nights, so it's just less congestion. Okay, and that's where we're at.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. So, just briefly, because then we're going to close the hearing. Come on up.
And I can appreciate that, but there has to be some kind of boundary with the music. Like, Mr. Tortorella, what time did you leave last night?
I was there.
Ma'am, we can't have, John.
Okay.
John, it's all right.
My point is,
You can't be
I have
questioned.
video on my phone. The music was going until 9:32 last night with the bass going. It started to rain, and I think that that's the only reason why the music was turned off. And it's not just the people who patron the facility. It's after they leave, the workers are continuing with the music and the cleanup and the loudness. So who monitors that? Who's going to be in charge of saying, okay, hey, it's time to shut down? Because last night it went on till 9:32, and the night before it was after 9 o'clock. And I have video and pictures from both evenings with people and music, if need be, to be seen.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Okay, are there any other questions on the board? And no further people? So let's close with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor and 3 absent. Thank you. Bud Hampton, we have notice,
We do, Madam Chair.
okay? Gloria, you want to read that to the record?
Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, May 22, 2025, at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the site plan special exception application entitled Bud Hampton. The proposed application is to convert the existing 1,000 square foot ice cream retail store, Carvel, into a non-medical cannabis dispensary and associated parking on a 30,000 square foot parcel situated in the Highway Business HB zoning district located at 2033 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-84-1-14.
Carl?
Good evening, Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. We are in our final phases of this approval. If you recall, a little over a year ago, we had the pre-submission hearing. Many people spoke in opposition, but those the basic crux of the opposition was opposition to the use, the allowability of the use, and not necessarily the site plan and special exception elements that are appropriately before this board. The pre-submission report that was issued by this board subsequent to that hearing identified a few issues, each of which have been addressed. Sort of high level, there was concern about the potential traffic impacts. A traffic study was conducted, and it noted that the expected traffic created by this dispensary will actually be a reduction from that of the existing ice cream shop. There was concerns about the proximity of the use to the school system or to the Bridgehampton schools. The schools are actually 13.7 times farther away than what is the minimum required under the code, that being 500 feet. There was concern about signage and buffering. All of those have been addressed by the application, and signage is governed by the state of New York, what we can and cannot put on signs for these dispensaries. I know you're starting to see these in greater quantity, so you're getting more familiar with the process and how these operations conduct themselves. So what you see on the boards was the original design for this. After we went to ARB, if you look on the screen, that is what ultimately was approved by the Architectural Review Board. As you can see, it went from a white face to a wood exterior. Can you see it, Gloria? You want me to lift it up?
Oh, it's the same as that one, it looks like almost. No,
Same
it's not.
as-
It's different roof line.
This is the one.
This one was the original. That's the
Yeah.
approved by the ARB. We'll do whichever one you guys prefer, but that's the one, the
What
ARB.
what is the material?
The wood placard, cedar.
Cedar.
That's
Is
cedar.
it cedar?
Yes,
Vertical cedar.
vertical cedar. Yeah. Which is actually a large point that's going to certainly improve traffic beyond the reduction in congestion as a result of the new use, is the fact that the entry now is ingress only, right directly off of
27.
27, excuse me. The egress and some ingress, but all of the egress is now being directed through cross-access easements. I just want to make sure I'm getting picked up by the mic. To the existing intersection, lighted intersection, that the Commons is at. I really think that's it. We've gone through a great deal. At its base, there's not much to this application. It's a change of use that requires a special exception and some site plan elements that add to the parking, formalize the parking that's there, provide in excess of what's required under the code for parking. There's buffering proposed, a new facade approved by the ARB, and far improved traffic as a result, one of the use and two of the redesigned ingress and egress. So if you have any specific questions, we'd be
You've
happy
done a
to answer.
landscape plan?
There is a landscape plan, yes.
I don't need to see it, just you've
Yes.
done it.
There is one, Jackie.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make sure we have it.
Carl, your,
I have it right here if you want to look at
your
it.
right-of-way will be made available to, if adjoining properties come in. I think talked about a coordination. I know your client has control of some of the adjoining
So
properties.
we haven't talked about granting cross-access rights to adjoining properties, but yes, my client owns those properties, so he's going to give an easement to himself that would certainly survive his ownership as a condition of this approval.
Okay.
Is the question, Dennis, whether other
If that's-
properties would
Is
benefit
that part of
from
the
it?
application?
It's
No.
not part of the application.
This is a
Well,
carved out parcel.
The ingress and egress, the cross-access benefiting this property is, but whether that's going to be cross-access afforded to other properties is not part of this application.
Right. Okay.
Any questions, more questions from us? Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Is there anyone on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, then we will close with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria, all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor, 3 absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're up to the Shinnecock Town Fishing Dock. We don't need to read it into the record because we held it over. So Keith, give us your name.
Hello, Keith Keto, Tower Point.
Yes,
How is everyone doing?
good, thank you. And your company is
Tower Point.
Tower
Tower
Point. Tower Point.
So I think we're going to just rewind a little bit and start off how this project kind of started. So this came from a Town of Southampton RFP from Resolution 2023-50. What is it? 59. We were the winners then it was 2 sites, North Sea and Shinnecock. And there was a public hearing held for these sites on October 24th, 2023, and there was all positive comments about it, really about the public safety and needing cell service. And a key thing I don't think was really given to the planning board was that this was really designed with the long-term plans of the site for Shinnecock. So from there, we have the 100-foot stealth cell phone tower. It's going to be painted sky blue to blend in. All antennas, all the wireless antennas will be enclosed. It is a self-collapsing, right? So I know there's some concern about a fall zone. So how these are engineered, they will not fall over the whole thing. They self-collapsing king to get the wind factor off, right? And that's at, I think it's 155 mile per hour wind, if that would be the design failure. and it's a 30 by 40 compound, et cetera. Another point is that this will bring in revenue for the town. I know on the last meeting we had some discussions possibly moving it to, I think one comment was almost federal land. That means that revenue would go to the federal government. So another key thing about this project is that this revenue that's going to be shared with the town of Southampton is coming back to the town of Southampton residents, and especially the stakeholders on this lot, which is other commercial fishermen. And off of that, the site, it's about 9.2 acres. As of right now, it is fully compliant with all the setbacks and et cetera. Designed for all the carriers for full future use. That's AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Dish. And that is the full project.
And this is part of a larger project from the town, is that correct?
That's correct.
To redesign the lot, the parking lot, the fishing hut?
Yes, for the
dock.
long-term future use. So a lot of feedback was taken in from those commercial fishermen, the people that have their boats there. These are not, we're not talking sport fishing. These are true commercial fishermen that might go out for 3-4 days
Okay.
at a time, you know.
Okay, that was news to us. We didn't know about that. So is there anyone, there isn't anyone here to speak to this. Is there anyone on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
No one on Zoom. Okay, so we can close this with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by Gloria, and second by David. All in favor? Opposed, abstentions? 4 in favor, 3 absent. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor? Opposed, abstentions? 4 in favor, 3 absent. We are adjourned.